Hi, thanks for watching. We're always encouraged to know that God is using this ministry to touch lives, not only here in San Antonio, Texas, but also around the world. So if that's you and you have a story about how God has changed your life, we'd love to hear it. Please email your story to us at mystory@faith-outreach.org. Also, if you'd like to partner with this ministry and support it financially, you can do so through our online giving. It's your continued support that allows us the opportunity to bring you God-inspired messages like this one every single week. Please keep your mind and heart open to what God has to say to you today through this message.
Last week, with reference to this series of messages on the awakening. Now, those of you who were with me at the conference this weekend, you got a little bit of an inside look as to why I'm saying to you that it has already begun. You heard something with your own ears and saw with your own eyes some of the other things that we're going to more fully develop, but God has already listened to me. Listen with the ears of your faith. God has already begun something. I'm going to tell you a little story that I related to Pastor Anthony. I told Janice. The story was this. A conference was being held on the West Coast. Pastors, they're gathering concerning what needs to happen in the nation. And they were in conference about that. And one of the pastors that was in conference was from Uganda. And given time to speak, this pastor stood up and said, he said to the leaders that were gathered there, the testimony of our nation in Uganda, and I'm paraphrasing, the testimony of our nation in Uganda is that we were under great duress. And you know, the economy was shot, the money didn't mean anything. Idi Amin and others had just come in and ravaged the nation. Idi Amin is synonymous with evil. His name is synonymous with evil. It ravaged the nation and destroyed people, and families and everything was split. But the church began to cry out unto God. And as they cried out unto God, God began to move in. He moved in powerful ways. And Idi Amin was dethroned and later killed, and certain things began to happen in the nation, and the nation began to turn around. Economically, it turned around. People began to flood into the kingdom of God. And the church just rejoiced when they began to see that their nation now had been gripped by revival. And this Ugandan pastor was in the meeting with American pastors on the West Coast. And he stood and gave that little piece of testimony. He said, as soon as Uganda began to experience revival, our core of intercessors in our nation, the core of intercessors in our nation began to pray for America. Because they said, we know that if something could happen in America like it's happened in Uganda, then God, that would affect the world. He said, nations don't know Uganda. Nations don't know us. And so this is what has happened in us is wonderful, and our people are rejoicing, and the church is revived, but it doesn't affect the world. But if it happened in America, it would affect the world. So we are praying for the United States of America. The intercessors in Uganda are praying for this nation. And he said, this is what I want to ask you. You ministers and leaders in America, since revival is going to come to your land, will revival come out of desperation or devastation? It came out of devastation in Uganda. You are not where we were. So it could come out of desperation. It's going to come. How bad does it have to get before you as a people begin to cry out to a holy God to redeem your land? And I want to echo that statement of that Ugandan pastor this morning. The awakening, no doubt, is coming. It's coming because there is covenants with the nation. It's coming because God is a covenant-keeping God. But will it come out of desperation of our hearts, or will it come because our hearts are hardened and callous and must wait to devastation before it comes? I pray that it not come through devastation. And when we look at the political landscape, I'm just going to say some things here that are politically incorrect. When a party's top presidential candidate, and looks like, unless something happens, that person's going to roll on and get a nomination. But when they can be insulting and bigoted and ugly and get the motivation of the voting public behind it, it's not just an indictment against the person, it's an indictment against the voters, the people that will promote that. I understand that they're working by some of them behind what they call the Warren Buffett principle. And the Warren Buffett principle says you don't choose the person who may be even most qualified. You choose the person who is most winnable. You choose that person who's most winnable because in a general election, that most winnable person is going to face who you really don't want over here. So you're making decisions about who is able to keep your worst choice out, rather than making choice about putting the best person in. And several have sided with that strategy and are pushing forth who they think will be able to beat who they definitely don't want in November. But just let me just say this to you. If the person you're pushing is just like the one in November, what difference does it make? Politics is not going to heal the nation.
No, sir.
It's going to take the Spirit of God to do something powerfully in His church.
Yes. Yes.
And when I say His church, I'm not talking about the organization. I'm talking about you and me as the church. He's going to have to do something in you and me. He's going to have to do something in us.
Thank you, Lord.
Until our hearts are sufficiently broken and our one affection is for Him. It's for Him to come and do what only He can do in the time in which you and I find ourselves. And so this morning, I want to just briefly speak to your heart concerning this very subject on the awakening. And those people those of you, by the way, I want to thank you for doing what you did. It's the largest attendance we've ever had in a San Antonio Black, White, and Brown Conference between the 2 days. 321 registered showed up. We're grateful to the Lord for it. It's not just the numbers of people that show up, but when you show up, and then you got to show up sometimes in order to hear. Then you act on what you have heard, and then the glory of God is revealed. And so I'm so very thankful for what you did in those 2 days, and especially to the team that led it, and those of you who served. Just incredible stuff. In this particular body, there is a growing understanding for which I am grateful to the living God. There's a growing understanding that you have God-given authority. There's a growing understanding that you have a mission and a call and a purpose and a destiny, and that you are equipping yourselves to step into that fully and without question. Oh, that's beautiful, people. That you're not waiting like little birds in a nest with your mouth open and chirping, waiting for some preacher to come stuff words down in your throat, and then only to find in the very next moment your mouth is gaping again. Now, some preachers like that because the little chirping birds just keep coming to church and keep getting fed, and they keep relying on the pastor.
Yeah, that's right.
Your pastor's not like that. I want you to grow. I want your wings to sprout. I want your talons to get real sharp. I want you to start looking out over your own field and take flight. Grow in what God has called you to do. Be who God has called you to be. Walk in what He's called you to walk in. And we'll rejoice with you as you go take your territory. We'll rejoice with you. To release an army, to release a people who are zealous for God into the field to do the works of God. And so we have a couple of them that I'm going to acknowledge this morning. We've been working with them, and they've been walking and ready now to start spreading their wings. That's a beautiful thing, y'all. So I'm going to ask Abram and Jessica if they will come first. Now, this team is also scheduled to go with us next month to Mexico.
All right.
Ain't letting no grass grow under their feet. And they both speak Spanish too. Come on up. So it's a good thing when you go to Mexico and you got somebody speaking Spanish. We have a team of 10, I think Stephen told me, and some being confirmed yet, and just about all of them speak Spanish. Isn't that, Rosie's saying yeah, because she usually has to do all the translating when we go. This time she get to enjoy some ministry and let some other people translate. But here in the house, their passion is for marriages. And they're launching a CCG in that direction. At the end of service, they're going to be under these stairwells. And if you're the persons who now these are not just troubled marriages. If they were ministering to troubled marriages all the time, it would wear them out. But if you people if you're in here and you're just into marriage, you like it. And you believe that it should be likable to other people. That's who they're looking for. Now, if your marriage is in trouble, you also need help. You need to get there. Right?
Amen.
But not just troubled. You're just saying that I believe in God's ordinance, and I want to help this couple. Janice and I took them to Katy, Texas, and went through a seminar with them called Love and Respect. So when you go, it's not like they're just disarranged. They're going to take you through some things. Because there's different languages that are spoken by husbands and wives. Women speak the language of love. Men speak the language of respect. So God says in Ephesians 5, husbands, love your wives. And wives, see that you respect your husbands. So when you get that equation down, life is good. When you don't get it down, if you're dealing with her, man, because you want respect, and you call yourself respecting her, and because you want respect, she doesn't translate that as love. You can do that the whole time. And she'll end up teary-eyed, crying to you and saying, "You don't love me." And your heart is saying, "What? I'm showing you all the respect I know how to show you. What do you mean I don't love you?" Two different languages. They'll help you they'll help you walk through how to speak those languages. So make sure that you are with them, that you meet them at the end of the service under stairwell. Give them a big God bless you. They're there. They'll tell you the time, the dates, and the times when they will begin. Thank you so much, guys. Tom and Joe, come on up. I call her Joe. He calls her Joe. Is it okay if I call you Joe? All right. They have a desire to win neighborhoods. One strategic act at a time. To target a neighborhood, pray for it, invite people in that neighborhood into their home, minister the gospel until God transforms a neighborhood. Isn't that good stuff? They'll begin in the month of March also. They'll be under the stairwell at the end of the service. If that's you're more strategic in your thinking. The Romos, for example, they're strategic as it relates to those who are downtrodden. And they'll put themselves in the flow of people like that. And while they're there, they'll catch not only the downtrodden, they'll catch some other folks too. these have a geographical assignment. We want to see that geography impacted for the sake of the kingdom of God. And if you just want to see God transform a neighborhood not through governmental programs, but through his people who are willing to take hold by faith and do it, then join them. They'll be under the stairwell. Give them a big God bless you. Thank you, guys. That's 2 to be kicking off this month. Mario and Lenore, I don't see you here. I was looking for you earlier. I don't see them. Colonel Thweet, come on up. She's provided some new blood to Saba. And and as such, has scheduled a March 12th meet and greet at Magnolia Pancake House. And the first 25 of you that's in that age group 19 to 39 see what I'm saying? If you're 19 to 39, the first 25 of you, your brunch that day will be free. No, no, 19 to 39. It is just kind of a recruitment time. We're going to be there to talk through some things and strategize about how Saba is moving forward. I'm so excited about it. We have 5 giants that we're going to slay this year. The first, we took the head off this weekend, which is Islam versus Christianity. That head came off real clean. And but now there is the advancement of that to do. And so you'll hear more about, as we talk about some other things about that, on that Saturday morning, March 12th at 10:30. Give her a big God bless you. See her, she'll be under the stairwell. If you're between 19 and 39, that age group is what this generation needs to get a hold of the things of God. Quasi and Elizabeth, will you guys stand up? Come on down here. In fact, if you will, really quick. Last Tuesday, I attended their invitation to breakfast where they are now a care group couple that will be planted in an apartment complex. And in that apartment complex, their job really is to do pastoral work. They got to visit residents. The Christians, they got to visit these residences and minister to them and all of that. But they'll find out which apartment complex they'll be in within the next few weeks. They're going to be set into that apartment complex and minister out of there. Once we find out where they'll be set in, some of the rest of you will need to say, okay, they can't take that apartment complex on by themselves. All right. Yeah. Some of the rest of you will say, hey, I can help you do that. I can help you. The ministry actually pays for outreaches, for them to do outreaches in the apartment complex.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. Give them the key to the clubhouse, and they got pools and all that stuff. And it's summertime. Yeah, I bet you some of you say, yeah, I think I want to help them. I think I hear the Lord calling me to help them. I'm just so glad for them. Their heart's sincere, and we're just going to see this thing explode in apartment complexes and neighborhoods, and with Saba and marriages. Is that awesome? Give them a big God bless you. Thank you so much, guys. The church must take territory.
Yes, yes.
And you are in a body where equipping is taking place in order for you to do that. These guys that have an ear for and a heart for ministry, they're being trained that they might be released. You're not here to sit. You're not expected to. Get this down in the DNA of your spirit. I have a commission from God to grow in the things of God and then answer whatever need God assigns me to in this world. And he, by supernatural power, will make sure that I get the job done. Nobody's going to be patting you on your back for the rest of your life. No, he expects us to live this thing out.